My pulse thundered in my ears when Veronica casually reached into her luxury handbag and pulled out a pistol, aiming it straight at my chest. For a heartbeat, all I could think was, so this is it. Just a rancher, about to be erased. You'll never have this land, she spat, her voice laced with venom. Your family's legacy ends here. Then she let out a mocking laugh and whispered, "Hi there." But something inside me clicked. I inhaled slowly. The trembling in my hands faded. I met her gaze without flinching. "This is Granger land," I said evenly. "This ranch has weathered wars, depressions, and worse than you. Our family name is written in this soil." She didn't understand. To her, I was just some backcountry hick with a dusty truck and an inflated ego. While she busied herself fabricating HOA complaints and cozying up to shady officials, I had been working on something far more dangerous to her plans, something she never saw coming. People like Veronica always underestimate people like me. 8 months ago, I was writing code for a tech startup in Denver. My life revolved around coffee shops, conference calls, and leftovers in plastic containers. I had no plans to leave it until everything changed. My parents were killed in a car crash. They left me everything: Granger Ranch, a stretch of 150 acres nestled in the foothills of northern Colorado. It had belonged to our family since 1870. I boxed up my city life and came home. At first, it was supposed to be temporary. Tidy the place up, maybe put it on the market. But one quiet evening on the front porch, with a cool mountain breeze brushing my face, the creak of barn doors in the wind, and the distant sound of cattle lowing, I knew I was staying. I didn't know a thing about ranching. But Hank, our veteran foreman who'd been working the land for over 4 decades, stepped in. He showed me the ropes and kept me from blowing up the irrigation system twice in my first week. Then there was Julie Monroe, my neighbor. A widowed mother of 2, somewhere in her 40s, with a backbone made of iron. She brought over a pot of homemade chili and shared advice better than any book could teach. Slowly, I started getting the hang of things. And then Veronica appeared. It was a Thursday when I first saw her. A sleek black Mercedes SUV rumbled up the gravel path like it didn't belong there, and it didn't. Dust clung to the paint like a protest. The door opened, and out stepped a woman dressed in pressed cream trousers, glinting gold flats, and sunglasses so massive they could have served as a shield. Her platinum blonde bob was cut in that unmistakable, ask for the manager style. "I'm Veronica Holston," she announced with a strained smile. "President of the Silvergate Bluffs Homeowners Association." I'd heard of Silvergate, a posh new subdivision about half a mile south of my property line. "We've had several complaints," she continued, already wrinkling her nose in the direction of my livestock pens. "The smell is affecting our residents' enjoyment of their homes." I blinked. "Ma'am," I said, keeping my voice polite, "this is a working ranch. Cattle smell like cattle. And I'm not part of your HOA." Her expression curdled. "We have ways of handling difficult neighbors," she said curtly. As she turned to leave, she glanced over her shoulder. "And cut that grass. It's an eyesore." The first violation letter arrived a week later. Then another. And another. Within a month, I had received a stack: citations for unapproved structures, the barn, unauthorized business activity, farming, excessive noise, my roosters. Each one came with escalating fines. The last envelope threatened a lawsuit. I called Nate, my old college roommate and now a real estate lawyer. "This is blatant harassment," he said after looking through the pile. "They have no legal authority over your land." Then his tone shifted. "But her husband, Dale Holston, isn't just anybody. Big name in the development world. Very well connected. Be careful." That night, I started digging. What I found made my stomach lurch. Holston Development Group had submitted permits for a project called Silvergate Ridge, a luxury resort complex that would wrap around my land on 3 sides. It wasn't the cows they hated. It was the land they were after. Things spiraled quickly. One morning, I discovered my irrigation had been mysteriously cut off for 3 straight days. People claiming to be from the county showed up snapping photos of my property. The south gate was left open, and half my herd wandered out onto the main road. Julie helped me round them up. "This isn't just about money," she warned. It's a hostile takeover. They pulled the same tricks on me after my husband passed. I gave up 5 acres just to make them stop. Meanwhile, Nate uncovered that Mayor Tim Reynolds had quietly signed off on a public easement, one that ran straight through my pasture. I hadn't received so much as a notice. They're tanking your property's value, Nate explained. Then they'll offer to buy it for a fraction of what it's worth. That same evening, my phone rang. The caller ID was blocked. You should sell while you still can, a deep voice rasped. Shame if something were to happen. I made up my mind. I wouldn't be pushed off this land. At the very next city council meeting, I stood at the podium and laid everything bare. Permits, photos, maps. I had receipts, and I brought them all. I exposed it all, every shady backroom deal, every veiled threat, every abusive position. When I was halfway through my speech, Mayor Reynolds tried to cut me off. But before he could, a firm voice rose from the back of the room. Let the man speak. Every head turned. Standing there was Colonel Frank Granger, my great-uncle, a retired Marine, and a local legend. He didn't say another word. Just stood behind me, silent and solid as the land itself. His presence alone gave me the strength to finish what I had to say. After the meeting, Councilwoman Leah Kim pulled me aside. You've got guts, she said. And maybe even a case. The next morning, journalist Tara Flynn ran a front-page exposé in the Rockage County Chronicle. The article exploded online. The headline read, One Rancher's Stand, HOA Power Run Amok in Silvergate. And just like that, the tide began to turn. Emails flooded in from Silvergate homeowners. People who had once stayed quiet now shared their own stories of being bullied. One woman was fined over $1,000 for growing daisies instead of the HOA-approved petunias. Then, someone unexpected stepped forward. I'm Eli Holston, the young man said as he stepped out of an old, sun-faded Honda at a roadside diner 2 towns over. I'm their son, Veronica and Dale. His voice was low. I don't stand by what they've done. It's not the first time. They find land, pressure the owners, build it out, then flip and disappear. He handed me a small USB drive. Emails. Bank trails. Development blueprints. There's something else. Your grandfather placed a legal restriction on part of the land they're building on. A covenant. That night, I plugged it in. Eli wasn't bluffing. Buried in a decades-old deed was a clause tied to a portion of land Silvergate had acquired. It granted our family the right of first refusal on any future commercial development, at original market value, adjusted only for inflation. I called Nate right away. We've got them. But the fight wasn't over yet. One morning, I walked out to find the barn ablaze. Arson. The security footage had been wiped clean. Not long after, Julie's well water came back contaminated. Silvergate crews had been illegally dumping construction waste upstream. The sheriff's department gave us nothing but red tape and delays. The Holstons had influence everywhere. But Uncle Frank made a call. Soon after, Agent Miranda Lopez from the State Attorney General's office took charge. She examined the documentation we'd gathered and said, "This isn't just corruption, it's organized. And we've had our eye on them for a while." We tightened security. Nate got to work filing lawsuits. And I made the boldest move yet. With a loan co-signed through Uncle Frank's network and capital from a Texas investor out of Austin, I bought up the outstanding debt that kept the HOA afloat. Yes, I bought their debt. That made me the primary creditor of Silvergate Estates, and with it came power, control, leverage. When the next HOA meeting rolled around, I walked into the room legally entitled to a seat at the board. Veronica's face turned to chalk. "This meeting is private," she snapped. "Not anymore," I said calmly. "I own your debt." Murmurs spread. Residents stood and began demanding answers. Why had dues skyrocketed? Why did Dale's construction firm receive every contract? Veronica tried to salvage control, but it was too late. That very night, our cameras caught her again, this time dumping waste near the creek herself. I confronted her. Her response was to raise a gun. "You don't get to win," she snarled. But it was already too late. I sent the footage directly to Agent Lopez. Veronica was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon, illegal waste disposal, and racketeering. Dale was later charged with fraud, bribery, and conspiracy. Mayor Reynolds stepped down amid public outcry. As for the Holston estate, it was seized, repossessed, and eventually transformed into a county museum honoring the founding legacy of Granger Ranch. Julie and I were married the following spring, beneath the cottonwood trees behind the old farmhouse. Her children now help Hank with the cattle after school. Eli used his inheritance to start a sustainable design firm. He even helped rebuild the barn, better than before. Granger Ranch was officially designated a historical landmark, legally protected, permanently untouchable. Now every autumn, we host the Granger Harvest Festival. Locals, newcomers, and old friends all gather not just to honor the land, but to remember that this place isn't a development opportunity. It's not just pretty scenery for brochures. It's home. And this land never forgets who it belongs to.